Smoke rises from airstrike against North Vietnamese positions just off Route 13, north of Saigon, on April 19, 1972, photo, Nick UT, AP. On a Saturday morning last January, I witnessed a remarkable reunion of two military veterans. The meeting was remarkable in part because of where it took place, on the bank of a canal in Vietnam's Mekong Delta. One of the veterans was then U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry, who had once patrolled the surrounding waterways as an American naval officer during the Vietnam War. The other was Vo Van Tam, a native of the area who spent the war fighting for the communist-led Viet Cong insurgency. In February 1969, Kerry and Tam had been on opposite sides of a firefight on a nearby river. During that battle, Kerry killed one of Tam's comrades who tried to fire a rocket at Kerry's patrol boat. But now the two former enemies clasped hands and expressed admiration for each other. "I'm glad we're both alive," Kerry told Tam. The meeting between Kerry and Tam is an apt symbol of the reconciliation that the United States and Vietnam have achieved over the past 2 decades. Since the normalization of official relations in 1995, Washington and Hanoi have forged a surprisingly warm diplomatic relationship. While the two governments still disagree on key issues, most notably on human rights and the harsh suppression of dissent within Vietnam, they now cooperate in many areas, including Agent Orange remediation and the removal of unexploded ordnance, UXO, left over from the war. Bilateral trade is booming, and now exceeds $45 billion a year. Cultural and educational exchange are also thriving. Vietnamese students currently make up the 6th largest group of foreign students studying in the United States. Americans and Vietnamese are working together on the creation of Vietnam's first American-style liberal arts university. In these and other areas, the process of American-Vietnamese reconciliation has come a long way. But what of reconciliation within the United States and Vietnam? In addition to the heavy toll of dead and injured, the Vietnam War left deep wounds on the body politic of each country. In the United States, the war divided Americans as no other issue had since the Civil War. Even today, American collective memories of the war remain sharply polarized. Discussions of the war continue to pit the orthodox interpretation that the war was immoral and unwinnable for the United States, against the revisionist view that the war was a worthy cause and that America could and should have prevailed, if only it had not lost its nerve. As John Kerry knows, these debates are not only of academic interest. In 2004, Kerry's campaign for the U.S. presidency was undermined by conservative activists, many of whom were still angry with him for speaking out against the war after he came home from Southeast Asia. Within Vietnam, the lack of reconciliation is just as glaring. Amid the decline of communism as an ideology, the Vietnamese Communist Party clings more tightly than ever to its official narrative of the war. In history books, museum exhibits, news reports, and official ceremonies, the Vietnam War is still called the Resistance War against America to save the nation.